Celebrate our histories, walking on the earth today.
Okay, hi everybody. This is Dr. Amber Wolf, and I am here with my friend Deb DeLisi. Hi, Deb. It's wonderful to see you again. And Deb and I are together today making this recording, and we're going to make another one after this because we wanted to share with you all what we're going to be doing in the UK in Bath on May 22nd, 2018, coming right up. And it's a beautiful day of women presenting together. And we each have a specific topic that really, as I read them, I see how they interweave into each other. And it's going to form a beautiful one-day event for people to experience, not just to come to and not just to have, but to really have a kind of experience that we really haven't had with these 5 presenters. So I'm excited about that. So I want to ask Deb some questions. We're going to do a little interview and talk about what she will be presenting at this event. So, Deb, what is the title of your talk on May 22nd?
Well, if I remember the words that I wrote down, my title is Spiritual Courage, or sometimes I call it Spiritual Bravery. And it's kind of like the difference between spirituality and spiritual courage or spiritual bravery, because spirituality kind of puts it out here somewhere, you know? And then spiritual courage and bravery to me really grounds it. It makes it something real, something, I call it like a brave action. It takes a concept from spirituality and turns it into a brave action to move about your world, something that you can create with.
All right, would you repeat that? Because I think that is a delicious, juicy morsel, and we need to really hear that.
Okay.
And I love the difference and the similarity between courage and bravery.
Yeah.
So spiritual courage is?
So spiritual courage is taking the concepts from spirituality, which kind of seem to float around us, things that are spiritual, and it takes it and it brings it into an action, something that I call spiritual action, spiritual courage, or brave action is what I sometimes call it. So it takes a concept and it moves it into a brave action, something that you can take action on based on the values that you hold within spirituality, and use that to move forward to create what you want in this world.
So that sounds like you've had a little experience along these lines.
Yes. And you know, I think everybody that's a light worker can kind of raise their hand and be like, yeah, I've been there. I've had that.
There are times when we've had to be courageous, and the hardest times. You know, those aren't the ones you wake up one morning and say, wow, today is a good day to be courageous. No,
it never happens like that.
It's when the shadow is right in front of you, and you have to be your light and be courageous. Well, that's exciting. As you know, the things that I teach in the Lemurian Sisterhood and on the weekends and the discoveries that Lee Carroll and I do together, I'm the practical one. I am taking the knowledge that we have and putting it into everyday experiences.
And I love that.
That sounds a lot like what you're doing. So how did this joyful part of what you're talking about, see, for those of you that are listening, Deb and I had a little chat before we started this recording, and that was one of the things, the playfulness and the joyfulness, that I wanted to circle back around to, because I think that a lot of times people think that spirituality has to be serious.
Yeah, and spirituality does have a serious aspect to it. I mean, it's like serious. It includes everything that ever has been or will be. So that sounds serious. But the truth is, we're human beings. We're here on this planet. We chose to have a human experience. And so that's what the spiritual bravery is. So it's taking something that's a challenge for you, and realizing that at your core, you are the creator. You are a creator. So when we talk about, you know, we are God, I am God, I'm a creator, but yet let's do something with that. And when I say creator, a lot of people think because I'm an artist, creator means I have to draw, I have to have paint, I have to sculpt, I have to be able to do something artistic. It doesn't mean that. You create with your life, and you use the qualities of spirituality and take that into yourself, and then play the creator, have fun with it. I really believe that's why people choose to come to this planet, because this is a planet where we get to play. We get to play in our own little sandbox with our toys and invent our things and bring them in. And it doesn't mean that everything that manifests in our life, everything that occurs, is going to be a glorious, wonderful thing. It doesn't always work out like that. As you know, sometimes you have challenges and you still have to create from that place.
So creating from spiritual principles sounds like work to me, and not playful. So could you explore that a little bit more about how someone who isn't an artist is coming to this event, and what they could do? What are some other possibilities for creativity?
Well, playing as a spiritual creator means that, let's say you take a concept like manifesting. I'm a manifester. I manifest, I create things. And when we get into that space, a lot of times we like to think, well, I'm going to manifest a better place to live, a bigger apartment, a new car, a job, a man, whatever it is. We're going to manifest all these things. And so what we really are saying is that I'm going to step into my role as a creator. So it's not so much about the things, because that does sound like work. Well, how am I going to manifest a car? That's like, you know, $25,000 or whatever. That's a big task to fill. So instead, just take one simple, courageous, brave action. And that is, I'm going to do something that acknowledges my role as a creator. And that one thing could be really anything of your choosing. It could be, I'm going to go outside and pick a bouquet and make the most beautiful bouquet. And every time I look at it, I'm going to remember the beautiful walk that I had, my connection with earth when I picked the flowers or grew them. And I'm going to plant seeds, and I'm going to create more flowers. You can do simple things like that, just as like the first little tiny step to, I guess, interacting would be the word, with your role as the creator.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. That's an example, I think, that people like me who can't even draw a stick figure, but love creating, you know, where we can make that link, that connection. Now, you've created a lot of art in your life. I know you have done book 13 and 14 of Lee Carroll's books, of the Kryon books, and Monica's book, The Human Soul Revealed, and the Akash, and the wonderful cards she has. And, you know, you've worked with Dr. Todd for years with all the artwork for the pineal tones and different things for him. So your art is really where you connect with spirit. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it is. It's I get into my zone. You know how you always have something that you do, and you get into your zone. And for some people, it could be running on the treadmill, and for others, it could just be that morning walk at sunrise. And for me, like, I get lost when I've got something going on with my artwork. That's my creative zone.
Yeah, Yeah, okay. And so as that expands for you in your life, in your spirituality, how do those two things connect? I mean, people can be really creative and not be spiritual. We're talking about spirituality and creativity.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm going to give you an example that's not me. So I'm going to give you an example now that's like Leonardo da Vinci. You think about him. And this was a man who is now famous for his doodles. You know, the book, the Codex Atlanticus, it's that book with the brown tinted sketches that are so famous. You see them of the Vitruvian Man with his arms out, that's used a lot. And he drew the flower of life. And he didn't just draw it the way that we always see it. He played around with it. He tried to make triangles and hexagons with it. This was a man who drew, he decided how to make bridges. He studied things. He looked at the way rivers flowed and kind of watched the patterns in the water. And from that, he was able to figure out where the greatest force was pressing against the structure that holds the bridge up and how to make that more efficient. He went on to design bridges and sometimes even war machines, because in those days, your patrons were wealthy royalty, nobility. And so they wanted weapons and they wanted statues and paintings of themselves too for their palaces. So I think of Leonardo da Vinci, who was a man who did have a lot of challenges. I mean, he was arrested for certain things. He was kicked out of Milan, a number of things. He didn't always have it so easy because he always had to find a new sponsor, some ways to find how to support.
To pay the bills, just like anybody.
Yeah. So he did these doodles and he would take this and he would write letters to like, I think it was the Sforza family that was a noble family in Italy. And he would say, look, not only can I make a glorious statue of you, you know, for in front of your palace, I can also help with wartime and build machines to defend and these portable bridges for the troops. And I can do this and I can do that. And they would sponsor him. And now the book of his doodles, I mean, I forget what Bill Gates paid for it. I think it was something like $30 million. What survived of his book, the Codex Atlanticus. He never intended that to be published. It was his musings. It was playing creator, seeing what he could come up with, seeing what he could study, what he could observe in the world around him, and how he could apply that into something, mix it and make it new.
Okay.
He's my hero.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Sounds like you could have a talk for a few hours on this.
Leonardo.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So for people that are interested in coming to this day, what will their takeaway be from you?
The takeaway will be that through the talk, and I'm planning to do an exercise with the group during our presentation that day, the takeaway will be a new perspective. Maybe next time they're out on a walk, maybe next time they're thinking of a challenge that they have, maybe with a new perspective and a new angle on looking at moving forward, that they will be able to see it in a different light, come up with a new solution, a new idea, because really that's what moves us forward. And that's the joy. That's the joy in being a human being and in the creating, is coming up with new ways. It's far more joyful to come up with something that's a little aha spark in your own, inside your head, than it is to even watch a YouTube video and someone tells you some new way of doing things. Like, it's much more fun to have that come from within. And so I'm hoping that people will leave knowing, like, there's something in me that knows, and I can tap into it.
So finding that spiritual spark.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that sounds wonderful. I'm going to be there. And I'm going
to be there for your talk too.
Enjoy it.
I'll be there the whole day.
Yay. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks, Deb. This has been delightful as always.
Thank you, Amber.
Yeah, my pleasure, my honor.
I'll see
So,
you soon.
yes, and if you would like more information about this workshop and the other speakers or any of the event in the UK, you can go to www.kryon.com/schedule. See you there.